Welcome to Living Your Life Well Planned, the 80-20-365 Success System by Adam Vincent Gilmer. I'm Gene Velitis, your host, and welcome back. This is episode 28. Oh, by the way, we always like to remind you, make sure you order your daily planner to really get 100% from this course. Simply go to the website. You might be on it right now watching the videos or listening to the podcast, and make sure you get 1 year's worth of your daily planner. You'll need it, and it will make your life complete, trust me. And also, welcome to all of our listeners worldwide who have downloaded this podcast and others. We appreciate you being here. Today, we're going to be talking about embracing personal and professional values. So what's a value? I always think of it as values are the things you believe are important in your life and how you work. And they set up your priorities. And if you have great values, you're going to know about it. And if you don't, you'll also know about it in that pit in your stomach. So here's Adam Vincent Gilmer back in episode 28. Adam, values, that's kind of how I see it. How about you?
Yeah, 100%. Look, you gotta make a decision. I mean, I'm a guy that likes law and order. I don't know how the rest of you feel about that. But in our current environment where we see things, people burning down stuff, pulling down statues and this, that, and the other, and I hate to be so political about it. I'm just like, I can just tell you that if you step on our property and you're uninvited, you're probably going to be shot, okay? Because I'm willing to stand for certain things and not stand for certain things, and I put my foot down. And everybody's got this inside them, okay? I mean, in our workshops, when we were doing the workshops with this, which was pre-COVID, we would do a 3-day workshop, and we had charged for the workshop. You came, we worked with you 12 hours a day, 3 days in a row, 5 days, and then 7 days. And then we do what's called a 30-day practice. So if you add up the 3 days, the 5 days, and the 7 days, okay, that's like 15 days worth of work on changing your mind, doing certain things, seeing what values are important to you. You've got your top and your bottom, you know what's going to offend you or not. And by the way, some of the workshops are very offensive because, most people are lazy and don't like to work. They just want it all, but they don't want to do the work. But when you create your values of what you really, really stand for, once you've done your purpose statement, you'll understand that, these are the beliefs, these are the values, these are the principles that you're willing to stand for. And if somebody does, let's say, you were, assaulted, physically, you're probably going to defend yourself, or if you don't have the right training, right, you're probably going to cower and, give up to that bully. And I'm using that as an extreme example, but, life has this same thing happening with it, Gene. Okay. And you have to decide what you will put up with and what you're not willing to put up with. And if you're sick and tired of having the humdrum, oh, let's just go about life kind of existence, how is that going to look if you're 20 years old listening? Maybe you're 30 years old listening. How's that going to look in 20 or 30 years from now? Okay, when you're 50, and knowing that you've got this information that you could have acted on to, make your values valuable, not just in the brain, in actual outward work. And that's why I see a lot of challenges with a lot of young people today. And I don't mean to be too offensive to some of the younger folks listening in, looking for some mentorship and some leadership. But, back in my day, Gene, maybe it was the same for you. If we didn't do the right thing, I got a good spanking, I mean, in military school, you got your ass kicked. Okay. So, there was things that if you cross the line on certain things, there are consequences to be paid.
Yeah.
And I say,
I'm curious. Is there an exercise you can do, like to sit down to determine what your values are? And on the other side of the coin, because we're guys who look at both sides of everything, is there a way that you can actually set your values?
Well, there is. But, I go back to the DNA structure for 1 second, because it's a personal belief of mine that we were created. I don't believe something over billions of years became what we are today. I just don't believe that. I believe that there was a creation. There was, there's actual right angles on cells. Okay, I hate to say this, but that to me, you go show me where there's right angles in nature. Okay, I mean 90-degree angles, right? I mean they don't exist anywhere. Maybe after an explosion there might be, but I say really and truly, if you're going to have decent values in your life, it comes down to you understanding that if you don't have a purpose statement, if you haven't taken all this thinking and condensed it, and you lock in on what your purpose is in life. We have a purpose finder exercise in the planner. We have a whole bunch of ideas for you to follow, affirmations that will help share and create, hey, that's an important thing to me. When you hear that inner voice going off inside your head, that little, voices that we have, right? That little voice will say, man, that means something to me. And you got to be conscious of this thing. You can't, it's talking to you anyway, as you're listening to this system, as you're listening to the podcast, as you're listening on YouTube or with the other channels, that little voice is in the back of your head, that consciousness. And that consciousness, when we say something that resonates with you, bing, it's like a tuning fork. And when we say something that you don't believe in, it drops, okay? And this is an important thing. If you can harness what's important to you, and you can remind yourself of how that is important to you every single day, like why you're on the planet, why are you here, what are you doing with your life? If all those things were harmonized, okay, you're going to create music. And it's really funny. There can be a nice guitar and a piano sitting there, nobody playing it, and nothing happens. And then you get an amateur who's just learning how to play it. It sounds terrible, right? And then you get a person who's practiced a little bit, can, play a few tunes. It sounds a little bit better. And then you get somebody who has dedicated their lives and they've said, man, I'm going to be, this concerto, right? And they just great concert, whatever the case is. And you watch their finger work on the piano, or you watch them playing or whatever, they're the instrument of choice, and it is music to your ears. Just so you know, the piano, as I started that segue, the piano, the guitar has everything it needs to play music, right? It's just not being used. And in other words, they have values. They have tones and value systems inside them. And if we can tune that into making your life harmonize, this is having a purpose statement. This is writing down goals, dreams, identifying the places, the people who are going to help you there, help you get there, identifying what kind of finances are going to be needed to make X, Y, and Z come into place. You have to raise the money, or do you currently have it, or whatever. Once you've got all this done, then there's action. And the actions are based on all these little tuning pieces that we put inside the 80-20-365 planning system. It's your daily journal, it's your calendar, it's your daily sheets, what to do, your organizer, and your notepad. It's everything in one. And the beautiful thing about that is you start to create harmony. And after the first couple of days, the values become really, really in tune. So it's possible. Now, here's the thing. You turn on the news and you go and see people burning down stuff and tearing down statues and this, that, and the other. And, and I've been through this in South Africa 30 years ago. One of the main reasons why we left Johannesburg, and my dad and mom made the decision to emigrate to the United States. There was craziness going on in the street. It wasn't safe. And anything that you love is a value. Anything that you love, if it's ever questioned, you're going to protect the things that you love. You'll protect the business, you'll protect family, you'll protect certain things, investments. You'll protect those things because they have value. They have their own set of rules. And if somebody's trying to take away from those, like your life, you value your life, these are all things that you can sharpen, focus, give it energy, meaning giving it critical focus, give it a 20%, make it a 20% high payoff activity, give it critical focus. And you'll see that the more focus that you give high payoff activities like values, the faster you're going to move in your direction, because you can make decisions snap just like that, versus like, oh, is it the right decision to make? What have you. And just for the record, I don't believe in burning down buildings and creating destruction. I'm all for freedom of speech and protests. But, when protests turn into rioters on purpose to hurt somebody else, take down values somewhere. To me, that's completely stupid. What you've done is you've actually lowered yourself by
Yeah.
doing that. No, but anyway, so yes, you can sharpen your values, and there's a way to get to build up your values with the system.
Yeah. You know, not every life is just going to go along and nothing bad is going to happen and it's just going to be rainbows and sunshine every day. So, you know, we're going to get into a situation, and I'm talking about professional values here. What happens, or what do you do, or what do you advise people who are in your courses when they have a situation, say at work, where a superior is asking them to do something that's, it's not illegal, but it's kind of sketchy and it goes against their values. But the person is saying, well, we're in COVID and I need a job and I have to have a paycheck coming in. But they don't want to go against their values, but they're thinking that they just may have to. And it creates an enormous dilemma. I mean, I had this dilemma once in my life, and I ended up quitting a job, and it created great financial hardship in my life for about a half a year. But in retrospect, it was one of the smartest things I did because I remained true to myself. But like I said, it was a financial disaster. So when you have values and you're being confronted like that, I'm sure you've been through it as well. What do we tell people to give them value?
Okay. I'm going to use the direct sales piece for 1 second, only because I think that's, a lot of the audience is, when I say direct sales, you also have to sell yourself on the values that you're going to be instilling in your life or live for. There's, when you're building sales organizations, there's different groups that have different philosophies, maybe different systems, but
And agendas.
yeah, and agendas. And one of the things I just recently went through, when I say recently, like in the last few weeks and months, was a group that, our teams had enrolled a whole bunch of people into the sales organization. And then other leaders were saying, well, they're not as good as us. You should come join with us. And people ended up there. So they were signed up inside our sales organization. And then they ended up leaving our sales organization to go over to this other team to go and work, which is against policies and procedures, which is against, roles, rights, responsibilities, all the things that, we teach and what have you.
Right.
And because here's what happens, really, in the direct sales industry, the company is the same, the products are the same, the compensation plan is the same. And the difference is you, the individual. So when somebody else is giving you a better pitch, or, and I always love this, you're going to leave one sales organization where there's, history for years and years and years of multimillionaires and generating, hundreds of millions of dollars in commissions and also billions of dollars in sales. And you're going to go join this other organization because, hey, they say we got this, that, and the other, and the pitch sounded better, right? So, to answer the question, that's people that were committed to the end. They say, oh, well, hang on, we're going to uncommit, right, and go over here. Well, first of all, I don't want any of those people back. Okay, number one. that tells you the value system. Now, it hurts some people financially by making that decision, meaning that in direct sales, you're working off commissions and things of products being moved and sold. And so there's some commissions that you're forfeiting. But at the end of the day, do you really want to work with people that, have that mind attitude? Well, they've got to go do some growing first before, I consider them allowed back in the fold. Now, some people consider that super harsh. Adam, you're crazy. Yeah, but you know what? I've been willing to stick to the principles of the right thing to do. Now, if I wanted to, because of my business acumen and what I've done in the industry and what have you, I could go to those other teams and steal people, put them in my sales organization and say, hey, here's the money I'm going to spend and this and the other, and make them, and just completely sweeten the pie. Now, but what kind of a person would that make me? And then here's what I also believe, I believe karma is a bitch. Okay. I really do. I think, if you're doing something to intentionally hurt somebody, okay, take somebody down, hurt them deliberately, financially, hurt their family, this, that, and the other, you've got something else that's going to come back to you, because the universe, whether we like it or not, responds. And, just because at one of our other segments we talked about earlier on in another episode, is that change is going to happen inevitably. and you need to be ready for change. You know, life is not always peaches and cream. Okay, it's tough. It's hard. There's some days I get up and I'm like, man, do I have to go to the gym again? You know, like it's like really. But you know, but here's the thing, and I love that thinking, it's the same kind of thinking, Gene. You're in this, your mind's in this fog after waking up. You don't feel like going and sweating right away. This and the other. Do I have to get the kids ready for school, make breakfast? But here's the thing. If you get up and you put your mindset into it, even if you, and you know, Anthony Robbins talks about this, Robert Allen, Dennis Waitley, yourself, all the other, you know, all the mentors, okay, all talk about this. If you start acting as if you start, no, when I say acting, an actor is somebody who's going to change their character and go and do the acting role. If you start acting as if you're successful, and a lot of people say, well, isn't that faking it till you're making it? Really? So that would mean by having positive affirmations happen, it's not helping you shape your mindset. The mindset is go do the work. Now, here's the interesting thing that happens. When you change that state of mind, and even though you're still not feeling good enough yet, the emotion follows the action. Okay. So, you know, bad things do happen. People do lose jobs. People's lives do change. In America and around the world, families are always rising and falling to the occasions that are being played out by circumstances and challenges in life. And how we respond to those challenges are big. That's why when you sit back and you've done the right thing, you've done all you can do, you've had to you know, endure the painful emotion of the firing or the letting go or the sales organization leaving or somebody being unethical, like how the you know, crap can somebody do this to me? When you get over that, you know, the learning process is like being in love. We've all been in a relationship where you thought it was the absolute most perfect person, and then you find out that, you know, they weren't the perfect person. You're like, how is it that, and you all have all these emotions. But here's what happens after a year, some time goes by, because I believe that God does two things with time. You know, they promote you or they expose you. That's what happens with time. You either get promoted with time or you get exposed. In a year's time goes by, the sting isn't that bad anymore from the rejection or the hurt or the pain or the emotion. You've lived the emotion so bad, and then it's like it finally wears off. It never completely goes away, but there's always, you know how it feels, and it doesn't hurt you anymore. That's the place where you want to be. And why it's not hurting you anymore. Now you get into action mode much quicker, faster, easier. But the changing of the state was important. You've got to, when something bad happens, no matter what it is. I mean, I was just watching something on the news the other day, and this one particular newscaster got diagnosed with cancer, right? Had to go have it removed out of his neck or what have you. And he's staying as positive as he can be. Well, how else, you know, you get diagnosed with a life-changing disease that's probably going to kill you. You know, that's a massive change. What do? You got to, you know, do your absolute best to make things happen and move your life in a direction. And it's tough. I didn't say any of this was easy. If it was easy, like you said, one of the other episodes, Gene, everybody would be successful.
Yeah. You know, I already know the answer to this question, but I want to pose it because I want everybody listening to hear the answer. Now, when we were traveling, and you know what, we will get back to traveling eventually. As we've mentioned on previous episodes, in 2019, you did like over 400,000 miles, which is like reaching the peak of one airline's program, not once, not twice, not three times, but four times. And you pay for all of your travel, but you go to people in your organizations or you meet new people. You spend a lot of time in the former Soviet Union, the Czech Republic, the Ukraine, the UK, a lot of time in Italy, which is pretty darn nice, the United Arab Emirates. You spend time in Canada. You're all over the United States, and you just keep traveling and traveling and traveling. You always take your family. It's absolutely incredible. So, but you don't charge anybody any money, and you don't charge people money for these podcasts. You just want people to get the Daily Planner just because you need it. So as you give, here comes that word. When you give value to people, when you give value to people's businesses, when you give value over and over again for free, we talked about karma, what ends up as a result for you when you give value away to others?
Wow. Man, the universe keeps on giving back, and it gives it back more than what you're giving it. And most people don't realize that. The more you give, the more is going to come back to you. And it keeps coming over and over and over again. It's one of the great little secrets. There's a couple Stuarts. There's the story of the Stuart number one, Stuart number two, and Stuart number three, and they each got a piece of gold or several pieces of gold, and they had to go multiply it. And the one was so afraid to do anything with it, didn't want to risk it or anything, went and buried it. Okay, and the other one put it into some little businesses and made some money, and then the other really knew what to do, had the expertise, believed that they could make it happen, and did. And the moral of the story is that the other two Stuarts were told to give their gold to that Stuart because that Stuart knew what to do. And the issue is, or the moral of the story was, the third Stuart was creating massive amounts of value, doing more than what you're expected to get paid. You keep doing, you keep doing, you keep doing, you keep doing. What ends up happening is that the universe has to respond to that. And I know it's really funny that you think about it, but there was this. I've done a lot of online searching now because everything's going online again with this COVID, right? And they did this social experiment where they took, and this is going to sound funny, but I'm going to show you the differences of the mindset so that it answers the question. They took this lovely gal, they put her in a nice dress and what have you, with a sign that said, "I need money for a boob job." Okay. And
okay.
Exactly. These are the stories that make breakthroughs with people. And they took that exact same girl and dressed her up differently, made her look homeless, and said, "I'm homeless. I need money." Okay. And they put them.
I'm getting frightened about the answer coming up here.
Oh no, you're not. You know exactly what the answer is. Okay. The gal out in the middle of the street, dressed a certain way. I mean, she was dressed in a short little dress, okay, with the sign, friendly, bubbly, great attitude, blah, blah, blah. Got given on average $57 a day. Okay. And the homeless person on day one got nothing, day two got nothing, day three had some money. Okay. So what's the answer I'm trying to tell everybody, and why did I didn't make this up. You can go search it and maybe we'll find the link. We'll show the video to some people. It's hilariously great. Now, I don't know how true the social experiment was, but the results for that particular piece when they were filming it, people found that the attitude of mind of the gal who wanted to get augmentation done to be positive, uplifting, inspiring, and was willing to do stuff about it and be completely honest and open about what she wanted the money for. You got the money. And then the author of the video actually divided the average amount of breast augmentation into what she was making a day and how many days you'd have to do that in order to have the money to go get the augmentation done. And the person was homeless on the street. "Hey, I need help, was homeless." I mean, had a different attitude of mind. She looked essentially looked the same face, different expression. One was bubbly, upbeat, change in posture. The other one was slumped over. Different change in posture, different belief system, and didn't raise the money needed, and was like, and it's self-perpetuating. Okay, it's self-perpetuating. What's the moral of that story? The moral of the story is that the state of mind that you need to be in to go and make your dream happen cannot be the state of mind that you're in presently, and probably has nothing to do with the way that you're not planning and organizing your day correctly. If you went and got a planner and got a system for a year, made a commitment, it's $1 a day. I can charge so much more for this thing. And we give you all the free training. You're just going to watch the episodes over and over and over again. The reason why we give you to watch the episodes, once you learn how to use the planner, now you can listen to our dialogue continuously. If you don't, and you like what you heard, you go back and re-listen to it. And if you didn't get it, go back and re-listen again, or leave some comments or whatever the case is on the pages. Here's what the important thing is. Once you've got a system that will walk you through to where your life really depends on being, why wouldn't you do that every single day? And like, you have to understand, that's what I do. And people say, once again, you're so lucky, this or the other, you had the great education. They say, listen, you know what? I've learned more from my failures and setbacks and the rejections I've had in life than going to any school. But school was important to learn math and read and write and what have you. But after that stuff, the life experiences of building relationships, hanging out with the right kinds of people, taking in accurate knowledge that'll affect your life, affect the future of your life, make your family better. looking after your body. I have another friend of ours, you know this friend up in LA. And, you ready for the great thing, Gene? Listen, he's made way more money than what I've made. Okay. We've been spending a ton of time together during COVID. I go up to his house, sometimes, actually this next week, I'm going to go up on Wednesday and spend more time with him. And Gene, the biggest aha moment, and actually brought tears to my eyes, was a couple weeks ago. He calls me up and he goes, "Listen, I know you're coming up. Will you do me a favor? I want a full 12-month planning system, and my assistant, my accountant, and the other gentleman who's his butler, we're all going on the system." Now, we've known each other for 30 freaking years, okay? 30 years. He's never once asked me about, hey, the system or this, and he's seen us train and gone to some of the trainings and what have you. But, and listen, not saying it's a bad thing. What I'm saying, the good thing is that not only is he on the system, but guess what? He's now gone on a specific diet. He's working out 3-4 times a week. Okay. He's gaining a sense of, other than just creating value and massive amounts of money, he's getting a sense of massive balance in his life. And it's amazing to see that he's only been, I think he's 3 weeks, maybe this will be 4 weeks into it. But here was already got, his accountants already called me and said, wow, here's what I'm noticing about myself. His personal assistant's like, man, we're really staying focused. Okay. Like that should be enough reasons, besides our friend losing weight. I think he's down almost 45 pounds. He's really changed. Okay. Yeah.
Great.
And
that's great.
Once again, we got serious. Now, the other thing we did was his cousin is a bodybuilder guy. Okay. Great shape, looks after what he eats, what have you, but doesn't make a lot of money. Okay. So I was great. I said, listen, here's what I would do if I were you. Okay. I would hire him to do all my meal prep, put me on a specific routine, and let me keep it. And you just got to write it down on the daily planner, man. You just got to put it down here, every single day. And he's done it. And the other thing was, another group of leaders said, listen, hey, you know what? Do you track your workouts? I'm like, absolutely I do. Okay. So I track it on my iWatch, tracks to my phone. So I know I work out every single day. So we so we're in, the month that we're in now. So we went and looked at how many days I've actually worked out, how many days my diet's been consistent. And by the way, this is in the planner. Like one part of the 7 daily habits is a little segment. It's an acronym called NRG. And if you say it fast, it's energy. To have the right energy for you to accomplish your goals and dreams, you've got to take in the right, get exercise, get rest, and you got to take in nutrition, rest, exercise, gym. All that comes together. And by the way, there isn't a doctor alive. I just had some of the books printed with some of the other doctors from our other direct sales business. And all of them say the same thing. In fact, if you're on medication right now, if you go look at the label or any other drug that's out there, it says, this is best used with diet and exercise. Okay. So this has to be a ritual in life. It has to be a religion in your life it has to become a lifestyle. Now, I'm not talking about having popping veins and, incredible abs. And I'm talking about being in good enough shape to enjoy the future of not only what the money will bring you, but the relationships that you're working on and creating and you will have and look to for in the future. And also the amount of time you have left to spend. So in rounding out, what we're talking about is, I get more out of hearing those success stories coming into me than the $365, the $1 a day that it costs to get the system. And the reason why we give away all the training and everything else is we want you to be successful. And here's the great thing. When you look up, all the people in the United States, okay, and you can go and Google this, what's 1%, what income do the top 1% in the United States earn? Okay. I'm above that 1%. I'm probably into the 0.5% of what it really is. How did I get there? I came to this country with nothing. I emigrated with my family from South Africa. I got into the direct sales industry, I got into personal development. I looked, I failed my ass off so many times of what not to do. I've learned now what to do from those failures. I put it down in a system of plan. I got incredible mentors. I got great friends, Gene, like yourself, and team who helped make the show available. And also people from around the world, like actually doing it. So if it's working for them, and why can't it work for the listener? And it can. The challenge the listener has to do is ask themselves, can they accomplish what they really want to accomplish without having a plan? And I'm going to tell you the answer is no, you can't. So you've been doing it your way for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. Get off your high horse, submit a little bit, check your ego at the door, go get a planning system, start planning, start following along what we're doing on the free information. And then do me a favor, write us in 30 days, write us in 60, 90 days, write us in 6 months and say, man, I've been dedicated, I've been doing this, that, and the other. And we already know your life is going to move in an incredible direction. But you have got to make that sacrifice for your life, your goals, your dreams. Gene and I can't make it happen for you. It's up to you.
A fantastic episode. Thank you for those great answers. And on behalf of Adam and myself, if you're listening, we hope this episode gave you value. You can get your daily planner at Adam's website, 802365.com, right around the corner. Episode number 29 coming up. On behalf of Adam and myself, this is Living Your Life Well Planned.